Hey everybody, and welcome back to Lindsey's Little Library. So today is more of an on a whim kind of video, and it basically came from me having to go through my books looking for specific books for other videos, and noticing that I have a lot of books set in the Carolinas, which I don't know why I find that different, but it's just something that stood out to me. So I thought, I'm like, let's put together a list of book recommendations that are set in the Carolinas. I'm not sure if you're like me, but I tend to read books that are more summer read type books in the summer. So set in the Carolinas or set in Cape Cod or somewhere on the East Coast, California. I read one when I was in Hawaii. I don't know. It just kind of goes with my mood. So if you're looking for something like that, here are a bunch of books set in the Carolinas. Let's just get started. So first, I want to talk about some specific authors that tend to write with the majority of their books taking place in or around the same area, and Diane Chamberlain is one that does that. Most of her books take place in the Carolinas. So I just finished Big Lies in a Small Town, and this does take place in North Carolina. So we have dual timelines. We have 1940 and then kind of present day or 2018. And this kind of centers around a mural that is being revamped or refurbished, I guess, in present day. And so this specific girl, her name's Morgan Christopher has been kind of tasked with refurbishing this mural, and while she's doing that, she's starting to kind of wonder about the original artist, and that is where our story with Anna Dale comes in. When she originally painted the mural in the 1940s. And so this has to deal with secrets that are in the past. This does have to deal with some racial issues as well. But it was really, really good. I gave it 5 stars, but again, set in North Carolina. Which then I kind of realized that Diane Chamberlain likes to write books set in North Carolina, because The Dream Daughter that I just read was also set in North Carolina. This follows our main character, and again, we have dual timelines, as, how much do I say without giving things away? Because this one's a little different. There's time travel involved with this one, and of course I have an arc, so I don't necessarily have the synopsis. There's time travel involved with this one. We have kind of our two main characters. We have Carly, set in the 1960s, and then we have, what's his name? Let's find it. Hunter. And Hunter time traveled from present day to the 1960s, and so you kind of follow what happens there. So they're all dual timelines, but there's a time travel element involved as well. So that's also set in the Carolinas. The next one I have is Where the Crawdads Sing by Delia Owens, I think is how you say it. This is again set in North Carolina in the late 1960s, as we follow, or no, this is dual timelines too. So we have 1960s, or maybe not. Nope, I'm mistaken. Late 1960s into the early 1970s, as we follow Kaya, who is known as the Marsh Girl, and she kind of grows up in the marsh kind of all on her own because she's given this really shitty family structure, and you follow her growing up and how the townspeople treat her and what happens from there. But it's fantastic. I don't want to give too much away because it's a bit of a mystery, and you just need to read it. The next one I want to talk about, I have Nicholas Sparks. I have A Walk to Remember, but this isn't the only one set in the Carolinas. We have Safe Haven. There's Nights in Rodanthe. I think The Notebook is set in the Carolinas. So again, another author that kind of, a lot of his books are set in the Carolinas. I have a love-hate relationship with him, or a love/disappointed relationship with him. Some books are like still one of my favorites. Safe Haven is a phenomenal book, and I love that one. Walk to Remember, again, love that one. But some of them just didn't quite hit it out of the park. Dear John was fine. Nights in Rodanthe is fine. So it's kind of, I'm hit or miss with him. The next book I want to talk about is The Magnolia Sisters by Michelle Major. This one follows our main character Avery as she is forced to kind of go to Magnolia, North Carolina. She was living, I think, in California. And she found out that her biological father had passed away and left her some things within his will. So she has to go to North Carolina, to Magnolia, to kind of settle his will. She never really had a relationship with him. I don't think even knew he existed for a long time, for most of her life, if not, didn't know he existed until the end, something like that. So there isn't really a relationship or a tie to Magnolia, but she can't help but be pulled in by this little town, and I would too, because I want to go to Magnolia, and I don't think it exists. So that was a fantastic book too. And of course we have Before We Were Yours by Lisa Wingate. This is a dual timeline historical fiction. We have things taking place in Memphis, Tennessee in the late 1930s, and then present day South Carolina. This centers around Georgia Tann and her very shady, very horrible way that she kind of exploited rich people who were in desperate need of wanting to have a family. So she would steal kids and sell them to the highest bidder, basically. It's a horrible story, or it's a horrible thing that happened. This is a beautiful, beautiful story. So highly recommend. This is, again, one of my favorite books of all time. The next one I have to talk about is kind of a bit of a dual, it's not really a dual, I don't know, companion, whatever you want to call it. So we have The Kitchen House by Kathleen Grissom, which is the first book, and then Glory Over Everything is, it says it's beyond The Kitchen House, so I think they could be read separately, but they go better together. Now I was trying to figure out if The Kitchen House itself was set in the Carolinas, and I couldn't totally remember. And it didn't say on the back, nor in the first few pages, and it doesn't have a map. This is why all books should have maps. But in Glory Over Everything, which does have a map, this kind of follows the journey of our main character Jamie, who's living in the north as he's in Philadelphia. He's a very wealthy white aristocrat, but he has ties to a number of slaves in the South, and I believe his mom was a kitchen slave. He ends up going to the South to save a boy who's been kidnapped and sold into slavery, and he does, during this journey, make it into North Carolina, which is why I've added this one to my list. And also a reminder that I need to read this darn book, because I loved The Kitchen House. So that's that one. And then the last book that I have not read yet, we have The Moonshiner's Daughter by Donna Everhart, and this is the one that kind of got me into like realizing how many books were set in the Carolinas. So this one is set in North Carolina during the 1960s, and we have a family called the Sassers, which I kind of like that name, and they've made moonshine their entire life, and the daughter Jessie, who's kind of grown up with it her whole entire life, she blames moonshine on the death of her mother, and so she has no desire to kind of have any part of that business. Her father won't talk about her mom, and it kind of goes from there, and how she grows up within this family with those big old things from the past. I don't know if there's secrets involved or not, but I'm very intrigued by that one. And I'm sure there are a ton more, because I'm sure there are, but I didn't go through every book. I just kind of, the ones that were sticking out to me in my mind, I pulled out, and I thought I would give you a nice little, if you want to take a trip to the Carolinas, here are some books that can get you there. I picked books that definitely made me feel like I was there. This one definitely makes me feel very nostalgic with that small town feel. If you want to get into kind of the, I guess, the Outer Banks. I don't know, this one had me wanting to get in a kayak and explore anywhere where there was water. The way that she described where she grew up in this marsh is so beautiful. It's just amazing. So all of these are really great if you want to take a trip to the Carolinas. I've also been noticing a lot of books set in like New York City, a bunch in California. So if you have any desire for another one of these videos, I can definitely pull together some books and give you some recommendations that are more based on location rather than anything else, because sometimes that's what you're looking for. So yeah, leave a comment below. Let me know what you think. Otherwise, like, subscribe, and I will see you next time. Bye.